Hello, welcome to Dracula in Russian Lesson 13. If you have not listened to Lesson 12, please click on it now. If you are new to the channel, please click on Lesson 1.
Her mother rejoiced when she saw her, and we all spent a very happy evening together. This is a reminder. Remember, good translates to Haroshi. 19th of August. Joy, 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 although not all joy. At last, news of Jonathan. The dear fellow has been ill. That is why he did not write. I am not afraid to think it or say it now that I know. Mr. Hawkins sent me on the letter and wrote himself oh so kindly. I am to leave in the morning and go over to Jonathan and to help to nurse him if necessary, and to bring him home. Mr. Hawkins says it would not be a bad thing if we were to be married out there. I have cried over the Haroshi sister's letter till I can feel it wet against my bosom where it lies. It is of Jonathan, and must be next my heart, for he is in my heart. My journey is all mapped out and my luggage ready. I am only taking one change of dress. Lucy will bring my trunk to London and keep it till I send for it may be that I must write no more. I must keep it to say to Jonathan, my husband. The letter that he has seen and touched must comfort me till we meet. Letter, Sister Agatha, Hospital of St. Joseph and Stay Mary, Budapest, to Miss Wilhelmina Murray. 12th of August. Dear Madam, I write by desire of Mr. Jonathan Harker, who is himself not strong enough to write, though progressing well, thanks to God and St. Joseph and Stay Mary. He has been under our care for nearly 6 weeks, suffering from a violent brain fever. He wishes me to convey his love, and to say that by this post I write for him to Mr. Peter Hawkins, Exeter, to say, with his dutiful respects, that he is sorry for his delay, and that all of his work is completed. He will require some few weeks' rest in our sanatorium in the hills, but will then return. He wishes me to say that he has not sufficient money with him, and that he would like to pay for his staying here, so that others who need shall not be wanting for help. Believe me, yours with sympathy and all blessings, Sister Etha. This is a reminder. Remember, should translates to dolzhen. This is a reminder. Remember way translates to sposob. P.S. My patient being asleep, I open this to let you know something more. He has told me all about you, and that you are shortly to be his wife. All blessings to you both. He has had some fearful shock, so says our doctor, and in his delirium his ravings have been dreadful, of wolves and poison and blood, of ghosts and demons, and I fear to say of what. Be careful with him always, that there may be nothing to excite him of this kind for a long time to come. The traces of such an illness as his do not lightly die away. We Dolzhen have written long ago, but we knew nothing of his friends, and there was on him nothing that anyone could understand. He came in the train from Klausenburg, and the guard was told by the station master there that he rushed into the station shouting for a ticket for home. Seeing from his violent demeanor that he was English, they gave him a ticket for the furthest station on the sposob thither that the train reached. Be assured that he is well cared for. He has won all hearts by his sweetness and gentleness. He is truly getting on well, and I have no doubt will in a few weeks be all himself, but be careful of him for safety's sake. There are, I pray God and St. Joseph and Stay Mary, many, many happy years for you both. Dr. Seward's Diary, 19th of August. Strange and sudden change in Renfield last noche. About 8 o'clock he began to get excited and sniff about as a dog does when setting. The attendant was struck by his manner, and knowing my interest in him, encouraged him to talk. He is usually respectful to the attendant and at times servile, but tonight, the man tells me, he was quite haughty, would not condescend to talk with him at all. All he would say was, "I don't want to talk to you. You don't count now. The master is at hand." The attendant thinks it is some sudden form of religious mania which has seized him. If so, we must smatrate out for squalls, for a strong man with homicidal and religious mania at a din raz might be dangerous. The combination is a dreadful one. At 9 o'clock I visited him myself. His attitude to me was the same as that to the attendant. In his sublime self-feeling, the difference between myself and attendant seemed to him as nothing. It looks like religious mania, and he will soon think that he himself is God. These infinitesimal distinctions between man and man are too paltry for an omnipotent being. Cuck, these madmen give themselves away. The real God taketh heed lest a sparrow fall, But the God created from human vanity sees no difference between an eagle and a sparrow. Oh, if men only knew. For half an hour or more, Renfield kept getting excited in greater and greater degree. I did not pretend to be watching him, but I kept strict observation all the same. All at Adin Raz that shifty smatret came into his glaza, which we always see when a madman has seized an idea, and with it the shifty movement of the head and back which asylum attendants come to know so well. He became quite quiet and went and sat on the edge of his bed, resignedly, and looked into space with lackluster glaza. I thought I would find out if his apathy were real or only assumed, and tried to lead him to talk of his pets, a theme which had never failed to excite his attention. At first he still no reply, but at length said testily, "Bother them all. I don't care a pin about them." "What?" I said. "You don't mean to tell me you don't care about spiders?" Spiders at present are his hobby, and the notebook is filling up with columns of small figures. To this he answered enigmatically, "The bridemaidens rejoice the glaza that wait the coming of the bride, but when the bride draweth nigh, then the maidens shine not to the glaza that are filled." He would not explain himself, but remained obstinately seated on his bed all the time I remained with him. I am weary tonight and low in spirits. I cannot but think of Lucy and cuck different things might have been. If I don't spot at Adin Ras, chloral, the modern Morpheus, C2HCl3O. H2O. I must be careful not to let it grow into a habit. No, I shall take none tonight. I have thought of Lucy, and I shall not dishonor her by mixing the two. If need be, tonight shall be sleepless. This is a reminder. Remember, door translates to dvier. In the next paragraph, we are introducing a new word. The word where translates to gde. This is a reminder. Remember, should translates to dolgen, later. Glad I still the resolution, gladder that I kept to it. I had lain tossing about, and had heard the clock strike only twice, when the night watchman came to me, sent up from the ward to say that Renfield had escaped. I threw on my clothes and ran down at Adin Raz. My patient is too dangerous a person to be roaming about. Those ideas of his might work out dangerously with strangers. The attendant was waiting for me. He said he had seen him not 10 minutes before, seemingly asleep in his bed, when he had looked through the observation trap in the dvier. His attention was called by the sound of the window being wrenched out. He ran back and saw his feet disappear through the window, and had at Adin Ras sent up for me. He was only in his night gear, and cannot be far off. The attendant thought it would be more useful to watch Gehi Dolgen go than to follow him, as he might lose sight of him whilst getting out of the building by the dvier. He is a bulky man, and couldn't get through the window. I am thin, so with his aid I got out, but feet foremost, and, as we were only a few feet above ground, landed unhurt. The attendant told me the patient had gone to the left and had taken a straight line, so I ran as quickly as I could. As I got through the belt of trees, I saw a white figure scale the high wall which separates our grounds from those of the deserted house. This is a reminder. Remember, after translates to posle. This is a reminder. Remember, door translates to dvier. This is a reminder. Remember, should translates to dolgen. I ran back at Adin Ras, told the watchman to get 3 or 4 men immediately and follow me into the grounds of Carfax, in case our drug might be dangerous. I got a ladder myself and, crossing the wall, dropped down on the other side. I could see Renfield's figure just disappearing behind the angle of the house, so I ran posle him. On the far side of the house I found him pressed close against the starry iron-bound oak dvier of the chapel. He was talking, apparently to someone, but I was afraid to go near enough to hear what he was saying, lest I might frighten him, and he dolgen run off. Chasing an errant swarm of bees is nothing to following a naked lunatic, when the fit of escaping is upon him. Posle a few minutes, however, I could see that he did not take note of anything around him, and so ventured to draw nearer to him, the more so as my men had now crossed the wall and were closing him in. I heard him say, "This is a reminder. Remember, good translates to Haroshi. I am here to do your bidding, master. I am your slave, and you will reward me, for I shall be faithful. I have worshipped you long and afar off. Now that you are near, I await your commands, and you will not pass me by, will you, dear master, in your distribution of Haroshi things?" This is a reminder. Remember good translates to Haroshi. This is a reminder. Remember room translates to komnata. He is a selfish starry beggar anyhow. He thinks of the loaves and fishes even when he believes he is in a real presence. His manias deal it a startling combination. When we closed in on him, he fought like a tiger. He is immensely strong, for he was more like a wild beast than a man. I never saw a lunatic in such a paroxysm of rage before, and I hope I shall not again. It is a mercy that we have found out his strength and his danger in Haroshi time. With strength and determination like his, he might have done wild work before he was caged. He is safe now at any rate. Jack Shepherd himself couldn't get free from the strait waistcoat that keeps him restrained, and he's chained to the wall in the padded komnata. His cries are at times awful, but the silences that follow are more deadly still, for he means murder in every turn and movement. Just now he spoke coherent words for the first time. "I shall be patient, master. It is coming, coming, coming." So I took the hint and came too. I was too excited to spite, but this diary has quieted me, and I feel I shall get some spite tonight. Chapter 9, Letter Mina Harker to Lucy Westenra. Budapest, 24th of August. My dearest Lucy, this is a reminder. Remember face translates to litso. This is a reminder. Remember good translates to Haroshi. This is a reminder. Remember after translates to posle. This is a reminder. Remember where translates to gde. I know you will be anxious to hear all that has happened since we parted at the railway station at Whitby. Well, my dear, I got to Hull all right and caught the boat to Hamburg and then the train on here. I feel that I can hardly recall anything of the journey, except that I knew I was coming to Jonathan, and that as I indulge and have to do some nursing, I had better get all the spot I could. I found my dear one, oh so thin and pale and weak-looking. All the resolution has gone out of his dear glaza, and that quiet dignity which I told you was in his litso has vanished. He is only a wreck of himself, and he does not remember anything that has happened to him for a long time past. At least, he wants me to believe so, and I shall never ask. He has had some terrible shock, and I fear it might tax his bidny brain if he were to try to recall it. Sister Agatha, who is a Haroshi creature and a born nurse, tells me that he raved of dreadful things whilst he was off his head. I wanted her to tell me what they were, but she would only cross herself and say she would never tell, that the ravings of the sick were the secrets of God, and that if a nurse through her vocation dolgen hear them, she dolgen respect her trust. She is a sweet, Haroshi soul, and the next day, when she saw I was troubled, she opened up the subject again, and postly saying that she could never mention what my bedny dear raved about, added, "I can tell you this much, my dear, that it was not about anything which he has done wrong himself, and you, as his wife-to-be, have no cause to be concerned. He has not forgotten you or what he owes to you. His fear was of veliki and terrible things, which no mortal can treat of. I do believe the dear soul thought I might be jealous lest my bedny dear dolgen have fallen in love with any other girl. The idea of my being jealous about Jonathan. And yet, my dear, let me whisper, I felt a thrill of joy through me when I knew that no other woman was a cause of trouble. I am now sitting by his bedside, где I can see his litso while he sleeps. He is waking. When he woke, he asked me for his coat, as he wanted to get something from the pocket. I asked Sister Agatha, and she brought all his things. I saw that amongst them was his notebook, and was going to ask him to let me smatrate at it, for I knew then that I might find some clue to his trouble. But I suppose he must have seen my wish in my glaza, for he sent me over to the window, saying he wanted to be quite alone for a moment. Then he called me back, and when I came he had his hand over the notebook, and he said to me very solemnly, "Wilhelmina?" I knew then that he was in deadly earnest, for he has never called me by that name since he asked me to marry him. You know, dear, my ideas of the trust between husband and wife, there dolgen be no secret, no concealment. I have had a veliki shock, and when I try to think of what it is, I feel my head spin round, and I do not know if it was all real or the dreaming of a madman. You know I have had brain fever, and that is to be mad. The secret is here, and I do not want to know it. I want to take up my life here, with our marriage. For, my dear, we had decided to be married as soon as the formalities are complete. Are you willing, Wilhelmina, to share my ignorance? Here is the book. Take it and keep it. Read it if you will, but never let me know, unless indeed some solemn duty dolgen come upon me to go back to the bitter hours, asleep or awake, sane or mad, recorded here. He fell back exhausted, and I put the book under his pillow and kissed him. I have asked Sister Agatha to beg the Superior to let our wedding be this afternoon, and am waiting her reply. This is a reminder. Remember, after translates to posle. She has come and told me that the chaplain of the English Mission Church has been sent for. We are to be married in an hour, or as soon posle as Jonathan awakes. This is a reminder. Remember, after translates to posle. Lucy, the time has come and gone. I feel very solemn, but very, very happy. Jonathan woke a malinki posle the hour, and all was ready, and he sat up in bed, propped up with pillows. He answered his I will firmly and strongly. I could hardly speak. My heart was so full that even those words seemed to choke me. The dear sisters were so kind. Please God, I shall never, never forget them, nor the grave and sweet responsibilities I have taken upon me. I must tell you of my wedding present. When the chaplain and the sisters had left me alone with my husband, oh, Lucy, it is the first time I have written the words my husband. Left me alone with my husband. I took the book from under his pillow and wrapped it up in white paper and tied it with a malinki bit of pale blue ribbon which was round my neck and sealed it over the knot with sealing wax, and for my seal I used my wedding ring. Then I kissed it and showed it to my husband, and told him that I would keep it so, and then it would be an outward and visible sign for us all our lives that we trusted each other, that I would never open it unless it were for his own dear sake or for the sake of some stern duty. Then he took my hand in his, and oh, Lucy, it was the first time he took his wife's hand, and said that it was the dearest thing in all the wide world, and that he would go through all the past again to win it if need be. The bidney dear meant to have said a part of the past, but he cannot think of time yet, and I shall not wonder if at first he mixes up not only the month but the year. Well, my dear, what could I say? I could only tell him that I was the happiest woman in all the wide world, and that I had nothing to give him except myself, my life, and my trust, and that with these went my love and duty for all the days of my life. And my dear, when he kissed me, and drew me to him with his bedny weak hands, it was like a very solemn pledge between us. Lucy dear, do you know why I tell you all this? It is not only because it is all sweet to me, but because you have been and are very dear to me. It was my privilege to be your droog and guide when you came from the schoolroom to prepare for the world of life. I want you to see now, and with the glaza of a very happy wife, whither duty has led me, so that in your own married life you too may be all happy as I am. My dear, please Almighty God, your life may be all it promises, a long day of sunshine with no harsh wind, no forgetting duty, no distrust. I must not wish you no pain, for that can never be, but I do hope you will be always as happy as I am now. Goodbye, my dear. I shall post this at Adin Rus, and perhaps write you very soon again. I must stop, for Jonathan is waking. I must attend to my husband. Your ever-loving Mina Harker. Letter, Lucy Westenra to Mina Harker. Whitby, 30th of August. My dearest Mina, this is a reminder. Remember, way translates to sposob. Oceans of love and millions of kisses, and may you soon be in your own home with your husband. I wish you could be coming home soon enough to stay with us here. The strong air would soon restore Jonathan. It has quite restored me. I have an appetite like a cormorant, am full of life, and spite well. You will be glad to know that I have quite given up walking in my sput. I think I have not stirred out of my bed for a week. That is when I Adinraz got into it at Noach. Arthur says I am getting fat. By the sposob, I forgot to tell you that Arthur is here. We have such walks and drives and rides and rowing and tennis and fishing together, and I love him more than ever. He tells me that he loves me more, but I doubt that, for at first he told me that he couldn't love me more than he did then. But this is nonsense. There he is, calling to me. So no more just at present from your loving Lucy. P.S. Mother sends her love. She seems better, Bidney dear. We are to be married on 28th of September. Dr. Seward's diary. This is a reminder. Remember, after translates to posle. This is a reminder. Remember room translates to komnata. This is a reminder. Remember face translates to лицо. 20th of August. The case of Renfield grows even more interesting. He has now so far quieted that there are spells of cessation from his passion. For the first week postly his attack, he was perpetually violent. Then one noche, just as the moon rose, he grew quiet and kept murmuring to himself, "Now I can wait. Now I can wait."